Hey guys, welcome back. It's Tal from Talia Ray Vlogs, and I'm back for another book review. You guys really seem to be enjoying the book reviews I posted so far, and I'm really loving filming these for you guys. So I think I'm going to try and post these about once a month or so, just because I'm getting such great feedback from all of you guys. The book I'm currently reviewing this month is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I was introduced to this book because it was the book club book that we had read the last month here. Just as a refresher, I wanted to let you guys know how these videos are set up for my book reviews. I'm going to start out with giving you guys a really quick synopsis of kind of like what the book's about, and then I'll move into my own thoughts on the book. Don't worry if you haven't read the book before, I will definitely let you know when I move into the spoiler section of this review. So I am really excited to get into this review for you guys, so let's get started. So I just want to get started by saying that this was a really interesting book. The book follows two families and it traces out their family lineage. It starts off in 18th century, what is now known as Ghana, though it wasn't at the time, and moves forward from there. So every chapter is set up where it is from a different character's perspective. And I've read other books like that before, but never in such a way where like every character was connected to the other characters so much. Normally it's like, oh, I'm in a town and I'm gonna like do different characters' perspectives in the same town. This is a little different where it follows a family and it follows their descendants. So it starts off with two half-sisters who have never met each other. The first chapter follows the one half-sister named Efia Ocher, and then the next chapter follows her half-sister, Essie Asara. So the first chapter is you get a really good glance into Efia's life, and then chapter 2 you get a really good glance into Essie's life. So they, even though they're half-sisters, they really don't have a lot in common and they don't have really anything to do with each other. And then it moves on from there where chapter 3 follows Efia's descendant, Quay, and it follows Quay's storyline. So chapter 4 is Essie's descendant, Ness. And then it just keeps following from there. So every chapter is a new descendant in the line, and it does this for 7 full generations. So it starts off in the 18th century and comes all the way forward to, they don't give us an exact date in the book, but I would guess like the 1980s, maybe the 1990s. So pretty close to present day. So it's like just a huge time span. So because of the way the book is set up, like I said, it's 7 generations, so it's 14 chapters total, and it's 300 pages. So it's really not a very long book. It's a really quick read, and for the most part, it's a very easy read too. Okay guys, so here's where I'm going to put my huge spoiler alert, because I really want to dig into the book here and give you my own thoughts on it. Mostly because I'm just dying to tell you what I thought about this book. First and foremost, I just want to tell you guys that this was a very sobering book. It was very easy to read and extremely well written. Like I said in the beginning, it follows two half-sisters, Efia and Essie. Efia's line actually rises up out of slavery, and it follows her descendants and how that affects her future generations. And Essie actually is born not into the slave trade, but is sold into the slave trade, and then again follows her descendants and how that affects them growing up. It really made me think and gave a really good perspective on how one thing of fate or chance literally hundreds of years ago can affect your own life today. It can affect like your geography, like where you grew up. It can affect your social status. It can affect your family's wealth. Just so many different things that are really out of your control of when you are born into it. And to a certain extent are out of like your parents' control, your grandparents' control. Like there's only so much that you can do, especially if you are the person that is not in power, to make yourself have a good and fulfilling life. Some people just are not given that chance, and it has nothing to do with them not trying hard enough. It's just the fate in life that they were given, which is so sad. As I was reading this book, like I said, every chapter follows a different character, and as a new generation of members were introduced to me, my heart would break a little bit into, I would see either side the hardships and struggles that these characters had to go through, and also the perseverance they had and just the will to make themselves be better and have the best life that they could have and do whatever they could do. And sometimes that wasn't very much, but they would do what they could do to bring themselves up either out of like the shackles of slavery or out of like say their their father's footsteps or something along those lines to really like just have the life that they felt they deserved. This book by Yaa Gyasi, I want to like read more of her books now, was written so well that even though it was only one chapter devoted to each character, by the end of that chapter, you were so engrossed in that character's story and life that you didn't want to end. And you knew that it had to end and you had to keep moving on, but you didn't ever want it to end. And she did such a good job of engrossing you in this story. This truly is a despondent book. It really made me appreciate the life that I've been given and the fortune and chance that I have had it throughout my life to have the good life I have today. It made me truly feel for anybody out there that had any sort of similar circumstance at all compared to any of the characters in this book, because I know that there are millions of people that have had to deal with these hardships because they are not the people in power, and for some people have never had the chance to be the people in power. This book also just really solidified my beliefs and how I believe that everybody has a right to a good and fair life. And I think that everyone in society should give a little so that the people that aren't in power or weren't given a fair chance are given that fair chance. And so that no matter where they were born or the life they were born into, that they can try and have a good life, no matter what that ends up being. And the last thing I just want to touch on, just because I know that I could talk about this book forever, just for like hours. Like there are so many different themes in this book that you could just spend hours and hours discussing. But there was one theme that really stuck out to me I wanted to discuss, and that was who writes history. And the book really made me realize that history is written by whoever is in power, and whoever is not in power doesn't have a voice. And other than like not to say that their history is lost forever, but it's not going to be found in the history books you find at your middle school or high school or college. You have to go and seek those out, and some of those are only verbal. Sometimes they're just passed down generation to generation. And obviously with those, like, things can get enhanced or forgotten or lost. And other ones are written down but are really hard to find. Basically, it made me realize that from now on, I want to do as much research as I can to research history if I'm interested in it, whether it be my own history or someone else's, my country, another country. History is only as full as you do your own research. So the stuff I learned in school is from writers that are well respected, that obviously that are going to give you their perspective and their knowledge on it, but it's not going to give you probably a knowledge of somebody that was born in the South or in Hawaii or Alaska or someplace farther away, or even like, say like I was born in like Britain. I bet that if you read a history book in Britain talking about like the American Civil War, it is going to sound extremely different than what I read. So I truly believe the only way to have a full, because it's never going to be full, but a more extended and real version of what history really is you need to get as many perspectives as possible to really fill in those blanks and to really show all sides of everything. Because if you only get one side of the story, you're really not getting that side of the story. You're really not getting a full look into what happened. And not to say that certain parts of history, like the stuff that you learn, is wrong. It's that person's history. It's that person's perspective. It's their knowledge. It's their research. But it doesn't take into effect everybody else. And there are so many different histories to learn about that it's impossible to learn about all of them. But you need to know that what you learn in your history class in school is not the same as learning about math or science, where like these are like basically like facts, like they are set. But history is not set. It is always growing and changing because we keep learning about different aspects of different people's lives. And I am just like super out of breath now because I am just like so passionate about this and about everything that I read about in this book. I truly am just grateful I had the chance to read this book, and I want to thank Jess, who was in my book club, for picking it out because she did an amazing job. I believe that this should be not even just like a recommended reading list for school, but this should be like, you have to read this when you're in school, whether it be in your English class, your history class, whatever it ends up being in. Like, this should be like, you have to read this book. I'm going to give this Obviously 5 out of 5 stars. I am going to recommend this book to literally anybody. Like, it's not like a book that you have to be from a certain background to understand or feel for these characters, because everybody has hardships and everybody grows up and has to deal with perseverance or anything. And like, even if you are somebody that grew up having to deal with this and getting to read about it, or not really having much hardship in life and really like kind of being born with a silver spoon in your mouth, like this really opened my eyes up, and I felt like I had a pretty good idea before of what the world was like, and this opened my eyes so much more, and I am so grateful for that. So this was kind of a different review that I normally do. Normally I'll just have like a couple bullet points of things that I thought were interesting or liked or disliked about the book, but this was just kind of like delving into some of the themes and stuff, and I can't say enough how much I think that everyone should read this, and how this was such a phenomenal book. I'm giving this to my grandma and my boyfriend and my mom, telling them all to read it, and when I get this back in a couple months, I'm probably going to reread it because it was just that eye-opening, and I know that I can get more out of this book and learn more about myself and society and what my views are and how they change over time, and how that's a good thing. Like it means that you're growing as a person. But anyways, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this book review, and like I said, I really hope you go out and like get this for yourself, or download it or audiobook it or do something, because it's so good. Let me know if you've read it below what your thoughts are on the book, or if there's any books that are similar to this that you think I should read. I would love any suggestions. Otherwise, I guess I'm going to try and get these book reviews out about once a month or so. We do book club every month, plus I read on my own, so I should definitely be able to hopefully get that out for you guys. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe below if you did. It really, I really just appreciate it, and it helps me out. And I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye!